Why is it that housewives aren't paid a living wage? If wages are given for value produced, who creates more value than a housewife or a housekeeper? Um, it is probably the refusal of this system to acknowledge the real value of housewives is why we have the decline in births and the increase in abortions and the breakup of the family. It's a quiet revolution or reaction against a very unjust system, an unjust response to a value that's being created and not appreciated in a real and substantial way, i.e., by being paid. If doctors, lawyers, and politicians and others are paid for their contribution, and there's reason to suggest they are overpaid, why aren't housewives? Where is the justification for this invalidation of such a large group of very valuable, well, workers? You may as well call them workers because they're creating value for the community. So they're workers in the community. And a housewife is arguably the most important work on the planet and probably the least appreciated. And while Mother's Day celebrations may be nice, that's not how we in this world validate things. We validate sports personalities and singers and entertainers and such with huge sums of money, totally out of line to anything what they're doing or what they're worth, but not housewives. And why is this? One can only assume it's because we value the system over the justice or the impacts it's having or not having. We value the system because of what it's doing for us rather than what it's doing for the community or what we think it's going to do for us or is doing for us. But this is an irrational response. It's a rational position to take because what the system is doing for us is not valid if it's not doing it for the community, because we are, in a very real sense, the community. And if the system is not paying housewives a living wage, it's not paying our mothers, it's not paying our wives, it's not paying our sisters a living wage, it's totally invalidating some of the most important people in our lives. So how can we say, oh, capitalism or communism is a really great system, I really support what it's doing and how it operates? Ethically, this is not or ought not to be possible. So in this system, of course, people are paid individually on a one-to-one basis, assuming that we benefited somebody with money, then we are paid. But the key is, are we benefiting someone with money? Because if we can't find somebody with money to benefit, we don't get paid. So this is the problem. It's a central problem. Housewives can't find somebody who's willing to pay them unless they come out of the home and work for a stranger. And this brings us to the central problem. Who are we creating value for, really? Individuals? And if we are, is this the same position we want to adopt, where an individual, possibly a criminal, possibly a murderer, quite possibly a sinner, liar, a cheat, almost guaranteed to be someone who's greedy and self-centered, are these the people who we want to decide what has value and who ought to get paid? So we're paid when we create value for the individual, but is this who we are supposed to be creating value for? Aren't we supposed to be creating value for the community? I say yes. And predicated on this, the only question we can ask as a consequence is, why aren't housewives being paid a living wage? Because housewives create value for the community. Indeed, as I said, there is a good case to be made for saying housewives create the most value of anyone for the community. So why are we bound and determined, apparently, to maintain this system and this illusion, in fact, that value is doing something for an individual in which they become the validator? So why are we keeping up this system, this illusion, this pretext that value is determined by the decision, the values of another individual? Our value is determined by what we do for the community, not for what we do to an individual in that community, because it's the community to which we are accountable for our actions and our value and for the things that we do. It's the community that should be determining our value, and it is the community that should be paying us, and the community ought to be paying housewives a living wage. And to do this, we need to adopt a Locavorian system. And you can find out more about this on our website and in our videos. But thanks for watching.